Today, I'm diving deep into the science to see if glucose really fuels cancer growth, and I'm challenging myself to break down the facts in a way that's easy to understand. Cancer is a complex and multifaceted disease, and one of the most critical areas of research is understanding how it grows and develops. At the heart of this growth is a molecule that's essential for life: glucose. It's a type of sugar that our cells use for energy, but when it comes to cancer, the relationship between glucose and tumor growth is still hotly debated. One of the biggest questions in the scientific community is whether glucose directly fuels cancer growth. The implications of this are huge, because if glucose is driving tumor development, it could fundamentally change the way we approach cancer treatment. On one hand, some researchers argue that glucose is the primary fuel source for cancer cells, and that by cutting off this supply we could starve the tumor and slow its growth. On the other hand, others claim that the relationship between glucose and cancer is more complicated, and that other factors are at play. So what's the truth? The debate gets even more complicated when we look at the biology of cancer cells. You see, cancer cells don't behave like normal cells. They use a different metabolic pathway to generate energy, known as the Warburg effect. This means that they rely heavily on glucose to fuel their growth, even when oxygen is present. But does this mean that glucose is the driving force behind tumor development? Not necessarily. Other factors such as genetics and environmental cues can also influence how cancer cells use glucose. The Warburg effect is just one of the many ways that cancer cells hijack normal cellular machinery to fuel their growth. Cancer cells have evolved to be highly adaptable and resourceful, and they can use a variety of different energy sources to stay alive. So while glucose may be an important fuel source, it's not the only one. In fact, some research suggests that cancer cells can even use alternative energy sources, such as glutamine or fatty acids, to drive their growth. In recent years, there's been a flurry of research into the role of glucose in cancer metabolism, and some of the findings have challenged our traditional view of glucose as a primary fuel source. For example, one study found that some cancer cells can actually thrive in low glucose environments, suggesting that other factors are at play. Another study found that certain genetic mutations can affect how cancer cells use glucose, further complicating the picture. Despite these complexities, researchers are making progress in understanding the role of glucose in cancer growth. New studies are exploring the use of glucose-targeted therapies which aim to cut off the glucose supply to cancer cells and slow their growth. These therapies are still in their infancy, but they hold promise for revolutionizing the way we treat cancer. So what do we take away from this complex and often contradictory research? Firstly, it's clear that glucose plays a crucial role in cancer metabolism, but it's not the only factor at play. Secondly, the relationship between glucose and cancer is nuanced and multifaceted, and requires further research to fully understand it. And finally, despite the challenges, researchers are making progress in developing new therapies that target glucose metabolism. So in conclusion, the science is clear. Glucose is a critical component of cancer growth, but it's not the only factor driving tumor development. Further research is needed to fully understand the complex interplay between glucose, genetics, and environmental cues, but the potential for new treatments is vast. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on glucose and cancer in the comments below. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more videos on the latest advancements in cancer research, and how to drain your body's second sewage system, which is your lymphatic system. So don't forget to check out our video on how to boost your lymphatic system with rebounding here on the right. Stay tuned, my friends, for I'll be exploring the latest developments in immunotherapy on our next video.